The National Museum of the United States Air Force is the world's oldest and largest military aviation museum, period. I am the historian for the National Museum of the United States Air Force. I've been an Air Force historian for over 25 years, and we get about 1 million visitors a year to the National Museum of the United States Air Force. I don't get to meet many of them, but when I do, it's usually a lot of fun, and one never knows who's going to walk through the door and what story they're going to have. So this is an exciting place. This is a P-6E Hawk behind me. It's the 6th in the series. That's what this stands for. The E was the E model of this, so there's been others before. And the P stands for pursuit. Today we say fighter, or F, like an F-22, or F-35. This was a P-6E, a Curtiss P-6E. This is the only original P-6 left in the world, the only one. We have it on display at the National Museum of the United States Air Force. So someone can come to this museum and see what interwar pursuit aviation was like firsthand by looking at this aircraft. And they're going to learn quite a bit when they look at it. They'll see our SPAD-13, and then they'll see this aircraft, this P-6E, and they'll say, the SPAD-13 and the P-6E, they look an awful lot alike. But then when you start looking at the differences, you'll see that this has an all-steel fuselage on the inside that's covered by fabric. The wings are wood, which again is covered by fabric, but SPAD is all wood. So this fighter is much stronger, and the engine is a different engine. It's the Curtiss B-1570 Conqueror. It was the engine that made this aircraft so successful. It took the speed of this airplane, just the cruising speed, from about 170 to about 180. The top speed, by the end of the series of the Hawk fighters, it was reaching at the 200 mile per hour, which 1932, 34, 35, that's moving along at a good clip. This aircraft was originally assigned to the 33rd Pursuit Squadron of the 8th Pursuit Group, which was at Langley Field in Virginia. However, we have painted it from the other squadron that received P-6Es. That was the 17th Pursuit Squadron at Selfridge Field in Michigan. We chose this specifically because, first off, it's much more colorful. The 17th Pursuit Squadron, their emblem had a white owl diving. So, of course, the clever people who decided to put the paint scheme on this in the 1930s, they take this back on the wheels and they show a little owl about to tear someone apart. Over time, they began to add things to it. They began adding an oxygen system so the pilot would be able to breathe. And they also added a drop tank under the fuselage. When they added that, it began to throw the center of gravity off and change the weight and the dynamics of the aircraft. Unfortunately, the aircraft was designed to do one thing, and as it got to the point where it was doing the next thing, the attachments to hold the bottom wings to the aircraft weren't strong enough to hold the extra forces when the aircraft would start diving and throwing itself around, so the wings would come off. As a result, a number of these aircraft hit the ground, crashed, and there were only about 20 or so left toward the end of the 1930s. And the Army, rather than spend the money on refurbishing an obsolescent aircraft, the Roosevelt administration had already decided that we were probably going to be involved in another war. The war clouds were over Europe, so the Roosevelt administration took these aircraft and gave them to the National Youth Administration, which was part of the WPA. And the National Youth Administration and aeronautics schools took them and they used them as trainers for mechanics, preparing for the Second World War in 38 and 39. The reason this airplane survived is because it went to one of those schools to train mechanics. There are no others left. The others were either destroyed over time or disposed of over time. The good thing is we have this one. A man from Alabama, a man named Edmund Perkins, actually procured the aircraft with the specific goal of giving it to the Air Force Museum. And he did that. He made a deal with the aeronautical school at Purdue University. They restored the aircraft, and in 1963, they donated this aircraft to the museum. So at 1 million visitors a year, you can do the math pretty quickly and figure out quite a few Americans have gotten to see this wonderful airplane because of the effort of a few people to save it. It takes me back, it runs me back almost 100 years and gives me a personal context. In addition, it is just such a pretty airplane. When we do take it outside, which isn't very often, to clean it and do some work and move other aircraft around, you can kind of put yourself back onto an airfield in 1934-35, and the historical context becomes much clearer.